Welcome, everyone, to today's episode. And my goodness, I've been wanting to have this gentleman on my podcast for quite a period of time now. And we're trying to work out, it's probably a good 20 plus years since we first met. Michael Kelly is a leadership communication trainer and pitch advisor. Many leaders struggle to make a lasting impact when delivering critical presentations. Michael's programs empower leaders to communicate their ideas and vision with clarity, confidence, and certainty, enabling them to deliver influential messages, win more pitches, and grow thriving careers. Michael holds a Master of Science degree in speech pathology. He writes the Winning Voice monthly blog post, and I must say, I get that, and I love all your messages that you send through. His clients include the Commonwealth Bank here in Australia, the University of Sydney, and the New South Wales Ministry of Health, among many, I'm sure. A master of verbal jiu-jitsu, Michael brings precision and impact to communication. He is a forensic body language and speech analyst, and he also has a weakness for spaghetti and meatballs, which brings us perfectly why you're on a hospitality podcast, Michael. How are you?
I'm terrific. Thanks. It's great to be with you, Michelle.
And look, I know we're going to have a fun conversation. We've got a lot of questions, but also I'm sure we'll go off on a number of tangents as well. So my first question is all about that first impression. And in hospitality or anywhere in life, people judge us by the way we look, by the clothes we wear, but certainly how we talk and what we say. And in hospitality, it's the total of all those we make those first impressions when somebody comes through our doors. So when it comes to hospitality, and as I said, first impressions are so important. Michael, what are the key elements of body language and vocal tone that leaders in particular should master to create a powerful first impression when walking into a room or addressing a team?
Sure, great question. And I think the first impressions, Michelle, people just misjudge those. People size you up quickly, change their mind slowly.
Yeah.
So what I tell my clients to do is this: whenever you enter a room, a virtual face-to-face, make sure your facial expression is radiating warmth and acceptance and calm enthusiasm, because
Yeah.
that's how people first know you. We sometimes underestimate that just a split-second glance of a person's face tells us their gender, race, age, mood, direction of attention right away.
Yes.
So you don't look down on entry, that conveys defeated. And a good technique to encourage that radiating warmth and acceptance and calm enthusiasm is always imagine greeting a good friend.
Mm.
So I'm looking, I have a camera here, there's a wall behind it, but I'm picturing someone walking to a glass door instead of the wall there. And I see them, as I see it's a good friend, my face lightens up. I see a lot of people, they just look vague on entry. So that's simple, but powerful. And then when you enter a room, make sure you move to the side. The acronym is SODA, Stop, Observe, Decide, Act. So I'll just get up here and demonstrate. So you move to the side, hang your arms by your side so you're open. Stop, observe where you're going to sit, decide, then act. Most people just act. Your movement, your gait, how you move, you always move with purpose. So there's a lot of things going on in those first impressions.
Mm.
So you bring up a great point right away.
Yeah. And what I always say when I'm training my team is, as I've been told by, I've got three children, but particularly by my middle daughter, oh, mum, you've got that resting bitch face. And I, and people look, because you're thinking, I always say to hospitality teams, your patrons, your team members are seeing you and observing you, aren't they, Michael, well before you even see them. And we have to think, particularly as leaders, when we're walking through our venue or through our restaurant or whatever it may be, is you may be thinking internally about a really important subject or an issue that's happening, but how is that being seen
Mm, mm,
outside? Is it that
mm.
tense look of don't even, dare speak to me? Or are you projecting chaos and we should start worrying? So that
Yeah.
body language is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, and movement, and especially
Mm.
leaders. Anything a leader does is amplified. So if a leader is looking concerned, some people might think, "Oh, my job's at risk."
Yes. Mm.
Oh, yeah, they can take.
Yeah. Or they come crashing out of the kitchen. Okay, there's a fire in there, perhaps. So or something's happened. And it could be something totally different, but it's
Yes.
what they are projecting, as you said, on their face. You often speak about this projecting
Oh,
certainty.
yeah.
Why is certainty such a critical quality in leadership communication? And how can hospitality professionals train themselves to project it, authentically through their voice and their body language?
Sure. Let's take it one at a time.
Mm,
So I'll take the first one. Why is projecting certainty so important? Simply this. People will believe your certainty. They
mm,
may not know if an idea is good or not, but they will believe how certain you are that it is a good idea.
mm,
So when you're certain, project certainty. And I often tell my clients they're domain experts. So when they're presenting to someone or interacting with someone, they're not the expert. So you've got to look like, you're certain about what you're saying. If
mm,
your voice is a bit tremulous or you're not looking at them. So I think that's important. And also, well, the first impressions, obviously, but then no rushing. If you're perceived as rushing, that's more junior behavior, Michelle. If you're perceived
mm,
as owning time, more senior. And yeah, so it's okay to ask for some time. You asked me a question, how do we do this, this, and what about this?
mm,
And nodding, and I would just take my time and just say, sure, let me answer that question. We'll talk about structure as well, but
mm.
also having a clear message. What's the message?
Yeah.
And I think whenever you have an interaction, a good question to ask yourself after is, did I instill confidence in that person?
Mm. Yes, which is so
And you
important.
usually know.
Mm. Yeah, they'll either go away going, "Oh, what were they saying?"
Yeah, yeah.
Or can you see that the penny has dropped and they do go about what you have asked them? It's also about that pausing, isn't it,
Yeah, yeah.
Michael?
Yep,
Mm,
definitely. And the technique I use, and you're listening to my podcast, Michelle, measuring cup speaking. So imagine this is a measuring cup,
mm,
measures on the side. So you speak in measures versus water hosing people.
mm.
So, start of a Barack Obama speech, I always use to demonstrate this. This is how he started one of his speeches. Hello, Chicago. If there's anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible,
Mm,
it still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time. So the opposite of that would be if there's anyone out there still doubts that America is a place where all things water hosing people. So
mm,
yeah, I think you have measured. The technique is have measured energy. And yeah, pausing and let a pause sit.
mm,
There's a concept for inexperienced speakers called presenter's misperception of time. So from this vantage point, times can go like this.
mm.
In the audience, it goes a lot slower. You have more time than you think.
Yes, yeah. And it's being confident to pause,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it? Mm,
yeah. I've got a quote. We got how much time we have, but I got a great quote on deserving time from research from Stanford University. So in the moment, you have to deserve the time. The technique, and well, even if we don't go into the quote, is when you're under pressure, have a little voice in the back of your head on a loop that says, "I deserve the time I'm using."
mm.
Because a lot of people will give you signals to, come on, let's pick it up, Michelle. Let's
Yes.
But you have to push back, not like a sledgehammer, but deserving the time. And I often tell people, Michelle, who's the first selling job on? This is a trick question. Yourself.
Mm.
If you don't think I should listen to you, I'm certainly not. So,
That is so true. And sometimes you think to yourself as a paying audience participant, why am I here? So it's thinking about that. Hospitality is a high pressure environment, and thinking on your feet is certainly essential. Can you share
mm,
your top
mm,
strategies, Michael, for
mm.
staying composed and communicating,
Yeah,
effectively in these moments, especially when things go off script, particularly
yeah,
in
yeah, for
patients?
sure. And as they will. Uh,
Mm.
First thing is when everybody calls your name or asks you a question, the old way is, oh no, what are they going to ask me?
Yes.
The new way is thanks for the opportunity.
Mm.
And that can just affect everything, your body language. Oh, what are they going to ask me? So that's the first attitude. See it as an opportunity to share your insights. So when you are asking me a question, what I see on the top, on your And a lot of these techniques, Michelle, may seem too basic to be effective. Their power is with their execution under pressure.
Mm,
Anyway, when you're asking me the question, I see the letters DBAE on your forehead, which stands for don't be anywhere else. The
mm,
more you're in the moment, the better you're going to be able to handle the pressure. And
mm.
I also, the engagement nod
Yes.
paired with that you're engaged. Does it mean you
Mm,
can answer the question? No, you haven't heard the question. But a
mm.
lot of people can have the stunned look. What are you going to ask me? So if you have that opportunity, it'll take care of that. And then open, middle, close.
Mm,
So you might ask me, Michael, tell me about stuttering. And I'm nodding because my background's in speech pathology. So
mm,
I nod, engagement nod. The open would be, Michelle, happy to tell you about stuttering. The middle would be this. It's a disorder that affects boys more than girls, 4 to 1. You're never cured of stuttering. You just have techniques to handle it. Two major types of stutters, blocks and repetitions. And the close, that's what I can tell you about stuttering. A
mm,
lot of people just don't close well. They leave. As you have children, do they ever
mm,
say yeah?
mm,
That's how they close.
mm,
And yeah. So it's just having an open middle close structure
mm.
and
And
realizing just being there in the moment.
yes, and that's so important, isn't it? If you're there at the live listening to somebody, you can pick up, particularly if they've got an issue, Michael, exactly what their issue is. Is that are they wanting something from you, or are they actually wanting to let you know about something? And too often I see those, particularly in hospitality over the decades, is that they think, oh, they're after something free, or they're just that
Yeah,
complaint.
yeah, yeah. Good point. Yeah.
And it's that negative filter, and you think to yourself,
Right.
just wait till they actually say it, because it could be, look, the meal was great, but there may be something with, at the past with one of those warmers might
Yeah.
be turned off, and it could be, oh my goodness, thank you so much. The globe is gone, and they're not after anything free. They
Yeah,
can let you
yeah.
know.
You can
Yes.
prejudge and get ahead of ourselves. Just
Yes.
about first impressions, you may know that former US President Bill Clinton, this is what's said of him. When he listens to you, he can make you believe what you're saying is the most fascinating thing he's ever heard.
Mm,
They say that about Hillary Clinton, Tom Cruise as well. You can develop that. And then my background is in applied behavioral science. You
mm.
work on something, Michelle, you judge yourself, you can develop it. It's a skill, as you
Yes. Yeah. And as you said, it is a skill and it's something you can certainly develop. So no matter where you are on your journey, whether you just go into those leadership roles, it's being confident and believing in yourself, but you have to apply yourself to these skills. It doesn't always just come naturally, does it?
Yeah, intentional daily practice,
Mm.
So it's just even interviews, first impressions, people going for a job in hospitality.
Yes.
As you know, they size you up and then they determine, and having that face like you
Mm.
want to be there is important.
Yes, it's funny over the years, a lot of people will apply for roles in hospitality by taking the CV in, literally shaking. And the first person that's making that impression is that person who's sitting behind reception. Now, they could be
Yes,
of a different age or a similar age to you, it doesn't matter, but they will judge you. And, the CEO or perhaps,
yes,
people and culture will say, oh, well, what were they like? And
yes,
if you haven't worn the correct thing, or if you didn't come in smiling or with that attitude is, oh, here's my resume, and then off so they'll say that. They go, oh, I wouldn't bother with them. So we've got to
yes,
think about it may not be that the person that you're going to have the interview with, it's the person who's behind the desk or the person who's answered the phone, somebody who you don't think is important about making the decision.
yeah.
They could well be, couldn't they?
Yeah, you're always sending impressions. Handshake
Yes.
as well. If you're in the business of handshaking, I'm a noticer of good handshakes, and I don't get that many.
Mm.
Michelle, and
Yeah.
that's the only way we touch in this environment. So you might want to get some feedback on your handshake.
Yeah. Look, it's funny. My parents were a lot older, particularly my father, and I've got three much older brothers. And I was always taught to have a really good, firm handshake. You're not breaking their hand,
No, no.
but a good handshake and looking them in the eye.
Yes,
That's how you made a deal. That's how, started and finished a conversation. And particularly working in a male-dominated industry, I've always shaken hands. But I must say, coming into COVID and then coming out, we've lost that. And I still find even now, Michael, I sort of hesitate. Do you go forward? Some of them I've known for a long time. Do you give them a hug? Do you give them a
yeah,
handshake? And you
yeah,
can even see male and female sort of crinching, going, well, the hands are sort of going back and forth.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think take the lead. I don't know. Yeah, it depends on the industry and yours. You have
Mm,
to judge it. But I think, like in any interactions, take the lead. Sometimes people come in and wait for the other person.
mm,
Just say, take the lead and,
yes.
whether and just greet them. And
Mm,
interesting, like in networking functions, I always get the lonely people, find them, make a friend, and introduce them to other people. I think a lot of
I
people
love
are
that.
focused on themselves,
Yes.
but it's out with the record. What is needed here?
Mm,
What about you? What is the quote? I don't know if you read the book 48 Laws of Powers. Be bold. No one honors the timid.
mm. That's so true. I think that's how we perhaps met because I'm very much like that too. Oh, those, being that hostess, so to speak,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
any conference, or anywhere, you sort of feel, oh, who I don't know anybody here. So go up, talk, introduce yourself, but then introduce them to others. And it broadens that
yes.
circle, doesn't it? And it's a nice way to be. In your introduction, it was about you being the master of verbal jiu-jitsu. I love that. I think that's great. So, but what does that actually mean, and how can hospitality leaders use this skill to navigate challenging conversations or diffuse conflict with both staff and patrons?
Well, I'm going to engage you in a little task that I do drill in a moment, Michelle. That's a bit of play on words, but you can develop that. Let me give you this technique to work on it.
Mhm.
We have thoughts here. You can develop thought to speech speed. It's not IQ, it's this. And here's a drill. Do you know what opposites are? What I'm going to do, Michelle, is I'm going to give you a word and you have to give me an opposite right away. This is a drill to increase this to this. Okay, here's a
Mhm.
practice one. Strong.
Weak.
Okay, it's now that's the practice one. As soon as you say the next one, I'm just going to give you the next one. You need to set your mind and think the idea is flowing. And say, I've got this.
Got this.
Good deal. Here we go. Question.
Answer.
Pull.
Push.
Sharp.
Blunt.
Entrance.
Exit.
Innocent.
Guilty.
Succeed.
Mm, I'm
Next.
stuck.
Cheap. Cheap.
Cheap. Expensive.
Distant.
Long.
Narrow.
Wide.
Lead.
Want.
Dangerous.
Nice.
Moist.
Dry.
Reckless.
Safe.
Good job. So,
I feel like I'm on 20 questions with
well, the thing is,
the
it's
chaser.
just you can put yourself under pressure, and I do it as well. I'm at a stoplight, Michelle. There's a red light. I see a sign. I make 10 words from the letters in that sign before it goes green. So it's the point of this is if I have ideas here and I can get them here, I don't have to rush.
Mm,
So it's translation. It's based on my speech pathology knowledge, actually working with head injured people. You
mm.
can develop that skill and then you don't have to rush. So, by the way, on my website, on the resources, it has quick response drill, just like I did with you. So,
Perfect.
but the thing is, the verbal jujitsu is, you can under pressure, there's lots of options. Lots of people just have three options. There are at
Mm.
least seven or eight. So if you can work on those options. So yeah, that's yeah, the other thing about have you read Chris Voss's book Never Split the Difference?
I've heard of it, but I
Yeah.
haven't had an opportunity
Well,
to read it.
one of his
Yes.
lines is anytime you bring up the elephant in the room, it gets smaller.
Mm.
So if I say to you, Michelle, you're not going to like what I'm going to be saying next. I've already told you.
Yes. I'm
And
not
then
going to
if
like this. What are you going to tell
just
me?
bring, whatever, you bring it up first and it
Yes.
lessens it. So a
Mm.
lot of people try to hide it, but there's a lot of techniques, but if you have more at your disposal and you're more powerful.
Yes, yeah, and it's thinking about that. So, oh yes, I felt really under pressure then, thinking, oh, my brain just.
But you did well. When I do that, you're at the bell curve, you're at the more the higher end because a lot of people, yeah, and it's not necessarily getting the words, it's just you're almost increasing the bandwidth from thought to
Yes,
speech,
yes.
the flow.
Mm. Yeah. And hopefully not embarrassing myself.
As we say in my workshops, Michelle, there's no failure, only feedback and learning opportunities.
Very true, very true. So thank you for that. Now, we talked a
Yeah.
moment ago about your blog, The Winning Voice. It focuses on helping people deliver influential messages.
Yeah.
What role does speaking cadence play in influence, and how can someone refine the natural speaking rhythm to hold attention in meetings, presentations, or team briefings? We see this a lot, don't we, on television when we're looking at our ministers or those that are in office of some standing. We look at them and
Yeah.
we judge and we hear them. And there's those that you've said, Bill Clinton and Obama, who really are great orators. But how does the common man, so to speak,
Yeah.
beat this? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say just about Obama and Clinton, all luminaries,
Mm.
they keep working at it.
Yes.
No matter
Mm.
where you are, I keep working at it.
Mm.
So the first thing I talked about that, if you have a measured cadence, remember measuring cup speaking, that is more senior, rushing is more junior.
Mm.
Here's another point. Seniority is signaled by response time.
Mm.
What
Mm.
does that mean? It means when someone's asked the question, how quickly the person responds determines how senior they are. So never let anybody rush you. I mean, you ask me, Michael, what about this and this and this? Thanks, Michelle. Just give me a moment to
Mm.
organize my thoughts.
Mm.
Just by saying that, you're teaching them that I deserve the time to use it. And then you use open, middle, and close. What you need to do, though, here's something to add more variety in your voice. I'll give you a metaphor for your voice. Think of your audience, people you speak to, as sailors on the open seas,
Mm-hmm.
and your voice is the wind. If your voice, the wind is predictable like this, what do the sailors, your audience, do? They set their sails and then they go to sleep. But if your voice is unpredictable, like an unpredictable wind,
Mm.
they have to keep alert to your message. So speed, pitch, loudness, emotion. So if you think of a straight line, the monotone voice, there, be the unpredictable wind. Think of a
Mm.
wavy voice. A technique or drill you can do is count to 15. Choose an object and change the voice or pitch. Wall, cask, monitor, computer. So it's
Mm.
just actually hearing yourself and just trying to introduce a little bit more variety. Michelle, a lot of people lose the attention of the audience because they bore the ear with monotony, and then the mind goes, "I got to get some chicken on the way home." It's gone all the. So whenever you see glazed eyes, change something.
And change it really quick.
Yes.
I had a scenario. Oh, look, it was when I first started out, Michael. So it'd be nearly 30 years ago now. And this CEO brought me in on Christmas Eve to do training. And I could see them.
Christmas Eve.
I could see about customer service. And I could see each and every one of them going, when will this lady shut up? I've got a Barbie camper van I've got to put together, or one of those,
That was a tough gig.
and you literally could see them go just glazing their eyes. So you've got to be looking at your audience, but you do have to think about that tonation
Yeah,
and
yeah,
bringing.
changing things up.
Yes, yeah, bringing.
Do you do after dinner speaking? I don't do that because I don't want to talk to people. I mean, some people do after that's a tough gig too.
I think the a tough kid, particularly if they've had a big conference and then they've had a big dinner with free flowing wine. You think this is just a downhill slope. But the thing is, you've got to keep going because there's those in your audience
Exactly.
who aren't intoxicated, who are interested in listening to, and probably the ones that are paying you. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's where the certainty comes through.
yes,
You have to project the certainty. Even if you see, sometimes you'll see people, they don't look interested. It doesn't matter to me. There could be just one. You're still on. You still have
yes,
to present your material.
mm,
And it's for the ones that are listening. Care
yes.
more about them than your own, all the other things, I would say.
Mm, it's so true. But look, I know over the years, you look at those in the audience and you think to yourself, they either look really stern and cranky, sitting there with their arms like this, or bored out of the brain. But but they can be the ones that'll come up after you and go, "Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, that was wonderful." And you think, well, you think you could have smiled some at some point.
Do you know about Ron Tacky? Do you know that name?
Oh, I love
Ron?
Ron. Oh,
His famous line was this: some people are excited about what they're saying, but they haven't told their face.
yes, it's so true. I bought Ron Tacky. I suggested to him, to probably a good 25, 26 years ago
Yeah.
now to come out to Camden to
Oh, did
speak
you?
at an event. And I'd known Ron, through our Professional
Yeah.
Speakers Australia group back
Yeah.
then, national speakers back then.
Yeah.
And I brought him out, and he was very famous, wasn't he, Michael, for coming
Yes.
out on the stage. And he came out and he's got his glasses, he's
That's right.
like this, and his papers like this. And my husband, was in high up in council at the time, and he's just looking at me. He's going, "Who have you suggested?" And all these people, and my face, I'm going, "No, it'll be right." And then, he
Yeah.
just he
Yeah.
did his amazing speech, and but it was that moment of there we judged him in those first few
Yeah.
seconds of
Yeah.
what have we paid for? Why is he here? And he was an absolute master of
Yeah.
craft of speaking, but doing it so well that he connected with every single person in the audience, wasn't
Yeah. Yeah. He was, what do they say? Walter Dickman was the grandfather, Ron was the father
he? Yes, yes, yeah. Walter
of
Dickman,
professional speaking.
I met him very first time I was helping those, getting,
Mm.
starting their own businesses out at Campbelltown with one of the workplace placement centers. And this chap had known Walter, and he came out and he did this presentation. And Walter Dickman was the gentleman who signed off on my first accreditation with National
Oh, wow.
Speakers.
There you go.
And I had to send in a little cassette. And he wrote back on all hand notes, but he was a wonderful gentleman,
Yes.
wasn't he?
Yes,
There
indeed.
are so many, and look, there are many today, but it
Oh,
was,
yeah, definitely. A lot of good speakers around.
but when you listen to them, it was the voices just held, like
Yeah.
Norman Vincent Peale, like you
Yeah.
just
It's just all
listen
the
to the
Yeah, I think John Law's voice, of course.
yes,
I think the Bob Carr, I did a CD with Bob Carr. Now I would say their voice is getting a little dated
mm,
because this is Bob Carr. Michael, sorry for the tardiness.
yes,
So he would, but a lower pitch, by the way, Michelle, is correlated with authority. High
mm,
pitch, more polite. So again, first impression, if you want to welcome someone, welcome, use a higher pitch. Welcome,
yes,
welcome, Michelle. But if I
mm,
had to give you a harder message, more serious, Michelle, do you have a moment?
yes.
So that is already sending first impression difference. And
Mm.
masters can control all that as well as a number of other things.
Mm. And while we're talking about that pitch and that tone, it's the nerves. And even when you are a professional speaker or somebody who has been an authority for a long time, those nerves still come out. We hear a number of times, particularly with women in leadership roles, if we can just touch on that for a moment, and I'm
Yes,
not wanting to
definitely. Yeah,
stereotype,
yeah,
Michael,
definitely.
that they go into that high register and then people feel, are they believable? And do they believe in what they're saying? How can we adjust those nerves for all
Yeah.
genders, but particularly that high pitch that comes into some
Yeah,
voices?
good point. And as you know, women have a tougher time in business and work than men. I mean, a guy can say something, it's assertive, a woman can say it the same way, it's viewed negatively.
Yes.
So
Mm,
they have to, as I tell my women clients, they have to thread the needle.
mm,
But the first thing is get to know your voice, and people don't like to do this. So one drill, again, I have a lot of techniques. I tell people 50 seconds for the next 7 days, get your audio voice memo on your phone and say, this is what I'm going to do today. You record it, do three things. That's what I'm going to do today. Then you listen to it. I know it's hard to listen to, but then imagine it's not you. And,
mm.
even if you have to turn it off after a bit, then listen to it again. That's the voice everybody hears, as you know.
Yes.
I hear no difference between this and this when I listen to it. I've listened to it so much. Same with you, Michelle?
Yes, I've done that exercise for a number of years, particularly when, on my morning walks, and
Great.
because you do have that feeling, how do I sound?
Yeah.
Because I know I can get very excited, and I can talk so fast that I don't even finish the answer. But how is that sounding? Does it sounding like I know what I'm talking
Well,
about?
you do. I mean, like I'll analyze your voice. You sound like a domain expert. So I mean, things I talk, you have to adapt to the person. But the thing, if you listen to your voice a number of times, then when you listen to it objectively, not
Mm.
apprehensively.
Yes.
Then you can
Yes.
say, oh, it's a little too quick there. But you have to
Mm,
get over. That's why you have to get to know the voice other people hear. Care
mm.
more about the others than, your, because we hear our voice, as you know, the best because we have different filters.
Yes, certainly do. And I think now when you get transcriptions back, like no
Mm,
matter what the software is, and I notice perhaps sometimes where I've left off the endings of words, and I think,
yes.
oh, Michelle, and I thought I had completed that word correctly, but very lazy. I'd be in a lot of trouble for my elocution teacher if she'd heard me.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, don't trail off. Here's another, I just thought of this. At the end of the sentence, some people just trail off because it's the end. So I'm going to go to the store and get some milk.
Mm,
So that's the slope. Here's the cliff. I'm going to go to the store and get some milk.
mm,
Silence.
mm,
So have the cliff versus the slope and then you change. But yeah, it's great. You have a lot of energy, and I think energy, as they say, is 70% of a job. If you don't
mm.
have it, be nice.
Yes, yes, please be nice. So, talking about this, a lot of leaders really overcomplicate their message. They'll just keep talking. What's your best advice for communicating with clarity and impact? Because we do know sometimes they've got great message, but then they just fill it with just a lot of fluff, especially when pitching ideas or delivering teacher
Yeah.
meetings. Mm,
Yeah, again goes back to the open, middle, close
mm,
structure. Have the close in mind before you start.
right, yeah.
So have the landing pad, as one of my
Mm,
clients says. Uh, well, I'll just explain this because it's key. It's one of my most memorable techniques. Open, middle, close is a three-part structure. Open, middle is a two-part structure. Middle is one-part structure. You asked me, Michael, what do your clients like about you most? Utilizing that structure, I could do it this way. Sure. Michelle, I'm happy to tell you what they like about me most. They like the honest feedback, coach, and sensitivity, long-term follow-up, continual research. That's what they like.
mm,
Two-part structures, that's the open and middle. You asked me, let me tell you what they like. One, two, three. The one-part structure is just the middle. You forget the open close, one, two, three. So
mm.
it's a judgment call whether you use all three or two or one, but you always know where you're going. I label the technique rambling prevention insurance.
Perfect. I love that. Insurance. That's so
Insurance, yeah. So when you interject in a meeting, use the structure. Let me jump in here.
true.
I think we should do X, Y, and Z with P, Q, and R. That's what I think. As you said, a lot of people get attention, then they go in the monologue. Let
Mm,
me jump in here. Blah, 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 blah. No end in mind. Blah, blah. And then they lose impact. So have the close in mind. And
mm,
if you think you're rambling, just say, let me stop there.
yes. Mm.
Pull the plug.
And I both go, thank goodness, this is take a moment to breathe.
Breathe.
Yes.
Yeah, the breathing, I do further education around the world every year. I was in Dublin in October. I worked
Right.
with a luminary voice teacher at the Lear Academy. He said, a lot of people speak too soon. So he said, you get up, and it's very simple but very powerful. And then you breathe in, breathe out. And then a lot of people will start speaking on the out. They don't have any breath. So it's
Mm,
breathe in, breathe out slowly. Then you have breathe in, moment of calm, then speak.
mm.
So don't sabotage yourself. It's just, the breathing, everybody says breathe, but
Yeah.
you gotta have some breath in.
And
You gotta breathe at the right time. You gotta speak
yes.
at the right time when you have the breath.
And it's so true. You can see people, they're just like a balloon and they just tire out of air. And it's like, moving. Just breathe back in, just take it slowly. And
Yeah,
then
breathe
people
in,
will
moment
listen.
of calm.
Mm.
Yeah, and just start. And don't rush the opening. When people see you, I mean, there's 100% of my attention. Initially, 70% is just processing how you look and
Yes.
or into your voice, which only
Mm.
allows 30% to listen to the words. So even if you said Michael Kelly and I was speaking at one of your events, I don't start talking for the first 5 seconds.
Yes. And I think it gives the audience an opportunity, as you said, to look at you, to observe you, but
Yes,
also,
take you in.
yeah, for them to quieten the
Mm,
conversation, but also quieten their mind and be attentive of you because they've paid money, or the boss
yes.
has, for them to be there. So be
Yeah.
focused as
Yeah. It's
well.
showtime.
Mm,
Yeah, and be more measured at the start. Yeah.
mm,
And then, but yeah, I think unpredictability. But yeah, I've seen people, the opening is so important. And as you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm okay once I get going," but the start's the problem. That's the problem is that's the most important.
It is.
You got to
Yes,
nail that.
you are. You
But
do.
if you get the audio record your voice, and you got to do this. A lot of people, the universe rewards action and punishes inaction.
Yes.
So
Very
you need to
true.
take action.
Yes, take it. So let's talk about the various organizations you've worked with,
Sure.
Commonwealth Bank and certainly New South Wales Health. What have you noticed are the common communication pitfalls that even
Yeah.
experienced
Oh, yeah.
leaders fall into? And how can they start to correct them, Michael?
Yeah, the major one is not, I mean, I do business presentations. The major one is not before the presentation, knowing the key message and sharing it early.
Mm,
A lot of people talk around it, but senior people have limited time. You're time poor, I'm time poor. They're
mm,
very time poor.
yes.
Biggest complaint of senior people, of junior people, they give too much how, not what.
Mm,
So this is how we did this. I don't want to know that. Tell me what you want. Tell
mm,
me quickly, simply, answer my questions. See you later. So
yes.
don't waste their time. So I think it's worthwhile. This is to tell you how to get that key message. So say I'm your boss and you're going to do a presentation. And I say, Michelle, you only have one sentence to say for this presentation. You say, come on, Michael, that's unrealistic.
Mm,
But that's the deal. You go away, you craft it. Craft's the key word. You come back, it's clear. And I say,
mm,
Michelle, rules have changed. Now you have two sentences. You determine the second most important sentence.
mm,
And I say, rules have changed. Michelle, now three. We repeat this process 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I say, Michelle, throw away 4 through 10. And it
mm,
may not be three, it'd be one. So be very clear and spotlight it. So I might say to you, the takeaway, Michelle, is I want you to sign off on $20 million for this project.
mm.
That takeaway, they know what you want. The
Yes.
litmus test is after you say it, they could go out of the room and tell someone what it was.
Mm,
So clear. As Brené Brown, the luminary
mm.
researcher and author, said, clear is kind, unclear is unkind.
Yes. So
Be
very
clear.
true.
Be
Yes.
clear
Mm,
before you go in. That would be the one. People don't have a key message. They don't have a structure. They have a weak delivery. They
mm,
don't handle Q&A well, and so it's those are the ones I see again and again.
mm.
They just ramble often.
Yes. And I think that's very much like some of our patrons or, our customers that
Yes.
they come in with a problem or complaint and they ramble. And what the key I see there, whether they be the frontline person or a leader, is to actually listen.
Yes.
And then, as you said, really pinpoint. So, what you're wanting of me is, or what you would like, or what
Exactly.
you are saying, instead of
Yeah.
glossing over and going, oh my gosh, they're just, complaining about everything. You have to listen.
Yeah, and the DBAE, don't be anywhere else. I don't know what
Yes.
works, Michelle, but people
Mm,
say they use it and it helps them be focused in the moment because
definitely.
we all daydream.
Yes, yes. And you have to listen to people's ramble because they're not a professional
Yes.
speaker. They
Yes.
haven't planned this speech. And a lot of the times at the heat of the moment, they're quite levels of, inside or a little bit boiling point. So they are going to perhaps talk a lot more. Therefore, you
Yes.
have to be really key. And then saying back to them, then identifies clearly, well, what are you actually wanting from me? What can I actually do to help you?
Yeah, right now, and just ask them. I often say in my workshops, everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about.
Yes, very much so.
And if you keep that, this person may have been fighting a battle, a patron,
Mm,
that you don't know anything about. Yeah, and just if you can be there. But yeah, listen, as we say, you never get a second chance to listen to someone the first time.
no, you don't. You don't at all. Now, talking about venue managers and, frontline leaders, what are the three body language power moves, they can use today to inspire confidence, lead teams, and elevate customer service? So this is, speaking to the teams at the start of the day or that shift at night time about
Yeah,
what's going to plan, but also how they hold themselves when
yeah,
dealing with an incident with a customer or giving a directive to a staff member as well. So what are these power moves?
yeah. I don't like the word power. I
No.
mean, I think just have a connection. How about
Yes.
connection moves?
Mm,
You want to connect with people. So I'll just give you some standard body language techniques, all the first impression with your facial expression. But again, use all the posture you have. Think of your neck as long at the back.
mm-hmm,
Think about a string is coming out of the top of your head and a puppeteer is pulling it to the ceiling.
mm-hmm,
When you're, as I said, standing, hang your arms. When you're seated, have your arms on the table.
mm,
Uh, and your hips, your feet should be hip width with soft knees. And then gestures, that's a higher level. And some people are just doing little dances with their hands.
mm,
Keep gestures firm, held for a second, firm arm, firm fingers. And if they have to make a strong point, this is one gesture that works. Imagine holding a paperclip between your index finger and thumb, tuck in these fingers, and I might say to you, making a strong statement, Michelle, we need to have better turnaround times.
mm.
So this drives it home, but I don't, and then back to default. So gestures are held for a second. So if you're a leader and you're there, have the posture. When you make the strong point, which may be the key message, pair it with this. This is pointing without pointing, Michelle. This is
Yes, I was
too
going to
aggressive.
say,
This
yes.
is too aggressive. But if you tuck it in, the fingers, you hold it for a second. It's like getting a point, but it's not pointing. And you pair it and you hold it for a second and then back to default, which, do you know, if your arms are not on a table in a meeting, you'll be less likely to interject.
Oh, right.
So
Gosh.
they shouldn't be under because they're not available. You want to have them
Mm,
available. Let me jump in here.
mm.
Here's my take. So, people, physical energy, physical certainty. You talked about certainty.
Yes.
There's certainty in delivery of words, but there's certainty in movement, in
Mm,
gesturing. And by the way, whenever you're in a meeting and you're not speaking, you should be perceived as intelligently curious.
mm.
You know how people are doing this often, Michelle, and they're doing
Yes. Yeah.
this other stuff? When people are not, other people are speaking and they think people can't see them? Oh, yeah. It's a signal, it's an impression and not a good one.
Oh gosh, how many times have I done that, Trina?
Well, no, you haven't. But yeah, I think people don't realize you're on. And the other thing is have a controlled stretch break if you have a long meeting halfway.
Yes.
So, you're the leader. I say, I'll do this controlled stretch break. Michelle, 30 minutes in, I say, okay, everyone, we've been talking for a while. You're probably tired in body. Stay in the room, get up, have a relaxed stretch, talk to people about what all this information means to you. 50 seconds, and then we'll sit down.
Yes.
Tired body equals tired ears. When
Mm.
I do this in workshops, people are a little more refreshed. It's
Yes.
about the audience.
Mm, it is. It's giving them permission to be
Yes.
able to just break free from that mind or the way they're sitting, and we don't realize sometimes that we're really putting a lot of pressure on on our bodies.
Yes.
We're really taught, we're sitting very, very tight. So it just gives them that moment to relax. You've talked about your wonderful blog, but also the various courses and programs that you have, Michael. I'd love you to share with my listeners how they can connect with you and what your services offer.
Yeah. Well, what I offer in a nutshell is I help leaders, and everyone's a leader in the wider sense of the word,
Mm,
leaders to communicate their ideas with certainty, energy, so they win more pitches, deliver influential messages, grow thriving careers.
mm,
Pardon me. So at the one end, it's a one-on-one work for the people that real need to change over 5 months. At
mm,
the other end, it's a combination of group workshops and one-on-one work with the people in the group. But it's all depend on the objective. And often it's help my people go in and deliver inspire confidence to a leader. So some of the titles of the programs are Listen and Speak Under Pressure,
mm,
Plan and Deliver Memorable Presentations, Communication Strategies for Being an Inspiring Leader,
mm,
Executive Presence. So I have many programs, but often with companies, I tailor it to the need. If you are my client, Michelle, I'd say, okay, Michelle, regarding this project program, what does success look like in 1 to 3 bullet points? So
yeah.
that's the start. We get
Mm,
very clear on what the objective is, and then I tailor it to that.
mm. Good.
But yeah, people can see me. My michaelkelly.com.au is my website. That's probably the best place. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, but the website you'll always get me. There's a response inquiry form.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And I know my listeners will have taken away a lot of information today. A lot, not only that they have, I'm sure they've had those aha moments as you've been speaking, but also taking away what they need to put in place and really start them thinking about how am I turning up? How am I being
Yeah.
seen? What am I sounding like? And what can I just tweak just that little bit to calm my nerves, make me sound like I do know what I'm talking about, or just be really open
Yeah.
to listening.
Yeah, listening and looking like you want to be there. Now,
Yeah.
you're a top performer, Michelle. I always ask top performers, let me flip the tables on you. What behavior or what attitude have you used throughout your career that's paid off for you? And because it's paid off for you, you continue to use it today. If you had to chisel it down to one behavior, attitude, what would it be?
Always smiling and making people feel that I'm there for them. That to me is really important, and it's not fake. It's I'm really interested in hearing
Yeah. Yeah, I
about
can.
you. Yes.
Yeah, I can sense that. I think we communicate on four levels: voice, words, body language, but there's the feeling tone, isn't it?
Mm,
That's a lot
yes.
deeper, and I sense that from you.
Mm. Thank you so much, Michael, for this conversation today. I really enjoyed it, as I said, I know my listeners certainly have. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to share?
No, I think we've
Nope.
covered a lot of topics. It's been great to be with you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great Christmas.
You too. Happy New Year.
Yes, another year. Bye.
Bye-bye.